All right, friends. I don't know how many people we're going to have today. There were like 118 people in the Fable app, which is so many, but I'm sure not all of them will be here. And gold star to the 12 of you, or I guess the 11 of you who showed up at 2 o'clock on my time. I tried to find an apple drink to drink, and nothing I have is apple flavored, and that makes me sad. I'm hoping that Alex came through and she's got something apple flavored. Nope, she's shaking her head no. That's sad for me. Anybody have a tasty apple themed beverage?
I tried to make apple cider and had it made and everything, and it was expired. So,
Ew.
no, so I'm drinking hot chocolate and eating a bagel, but I'm pretending it's apple.
Okay, okay. Stephanie, what do you got? Apple Pop-Tart?
It's peppermint season. This would be peppermint bark, and I have peppermint coffee.
It's peppermint season. It's only November. You must be a jumper of the gun.
I just got back from Disney and went to the Christmas party, so Christmas is here.
It's not a jumper of the gun, then it counts. If Disney did it counts. I like
That's
it.
right.
Yes, Patty, what do you got to snack on?
Actually, well, that's not what I wanted to say, but I drink kombucha. And
Is
it's a
it
tea.
jasmine hibiscus? Well,
Yeah.
it's not apple, but we'll accept.
Thank you. But I was gonna say I had apples with, or half an apple with my breakfast. And the only apple I buy is the Honey Crisp. I don't care
Mhm.
how expensive they are. That's my favorite.
Is that's not even a chapter title in here, I don't think.
That's right. Yes. I forgot which one it was. But, Pink Lady is the last one, I believe,
Mm-hmm.
or Jubilee, actually. But I don't know. Is that an apple?
Yeah, all the chapter titles are apples. Happy apple varietals,
Yes.
which is fun. Okay, well, that is kind of a fun little trivia question to start out with as we wait for people to come in. Alex just put her beautiful apples document into the chat. If you want to click on that, it'll take you to Canva. You can like poke around in there, check it out, see what you find. Patty said her favorite apple variety is Honeycrisp. Does any other person have a strong opinion about their favorite apple variety? And if you say Red Delicious, I will boot you out. Just saying. No, it's fine. We can still be friends. What do you got?
Honey Crisp. Page 87.
All
Little number.
right.
There.
All right. Caitlin agrees. Also loves Honeycrisp as well. Crab apples because they're best for making cider with. Okay. Fair. How about horse apples? Anybody like horse apples? No? Katie should stop making bad jokes about poop. Alex, it's so pretty. I love it so much. Click the apple to see a list of books that are similar. Guys, she spent so much time working on it. She did such a good job. Opal, Pink Lady. Robin, do you have an apple you like? Cosmic Crisp. Oh no, we have tried those. Those are like a newer variety.
Yeah, they were a big thing. Maybe last year they just came out, or the year before.
Mhm.
But yeah, they're like a hybrid between Honeycrisp and something else, but they're pretty delicious.
Yeah. Okay, Amy likes sour apples. Do you like dip them in caramel? Or do you just eat them straight up, just a green apple? Because it's like making my jawbone hurt right here.
I just eat them straight up. I don't like
Wow.
sweet.
I'm impressed. I'm impressed. It seems like Honeycrisp is the overall winner. So well done to those of you who go with the flow. I like a jazz apple. I like caramel apple martinis. Yeah, if you can put alcohol into an apple, I'm there for it. That's it's a winning combination for me. And apple pies. Yeah. I like an apple dessert as well. Okay, let's get a feel for Comfort Me with Apples. I will show you my little signed bookplate, which matches the cover. Isn't it pretty? It matches those flowers and vibes from the cover. I literally just finished my reread maybe 20 minutes ago because I wanted it to be super fresh. And I went through Fable and clicked on all the comments to see like when people were putting things together, what kind of guesses were in there. It was so fun to get to like come peep on all of your thoughts after the fact. That was very exciting for me. So even if like you're watching this video later and you weren't on the Fable app for the discussion, it's worth clicking through there to see what people thought was going on, ideas, connections. Y'all are very smart making connections between like chicken types and you know, cascabel in Spanish is rattlesnake in English. And did somebody say that palfrey is a type of horse? I feel like somebody said that somewhere. Yeah, Rebecca. Nice. So like putting together some of those interesting things. Amy also pointed out the question I had about lions and lion cubs in the very end section. So I want to talk about that as well. But let's do an overall view of your, you can do up, sideways, or down. Did you enjoy this book? All opinions are good opinions. Okay, I see a lot of sideways, up, 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 up. I don't see any downs in here, which is strange because I do know there were some people that were like 1 star in the shit out of this thing. They were
I think
mad.
if you would have asked me as soon as I finished it, it would have been down. But the more time I had to kind of sit with it and then like go back and like mostly do a reread, now I like it a lot more.
Oh, see, that's interesting. I also really liked my reread of this one. I read it so fast the first time that I was like, whoa, that was okay. And then we recorded and then I set it aside, and then reading it again today and like already knowing what to look for and trying to find those connections was really fun for me. So I liked that a lot.
I think
Cool.
I'm saying that it was like that I didn't like it. It wasn't really my type and it kind of annoyed me a little bit, but it was so creative and interestingly put together, and that I can't say that it was a bad book. So it's hard for me to say. I mean, what my initial reaction was, I didn't really like that book, but it's not really so much about liking it. It was interesting.
Yeah.
But I was going to
Yeah.
reread it before we did this today. I was going to listen to it on audio, and I was just like, no, I'm done with it.
That's kind of Meredith and I recorded earlier this morning, and she was like, question, do you expect me to be there today? And I was like, well, I mean, I think it'd be great, but you don't have to by any means. I never plan these like with you in mind because you're not usually here. And she was like, yeah, like I'm kind of done with it. Like I've filed it as finished. And I'm like, okay, that's totally a legitimate thing to say about a book. So even though she really loved it and could not wait to talk about it on the Indie Press List episode, and she's actually talking about it on tomorrow's Big Show episode, she was like, now I've checked that box and I'm all done with that book. Like, oh, okay, well, I'm gonna reread it right after we record, so we're kind of opposite today. That's fine. So yeah, I definitely get that. When the Indie Press List bookstore first set it up for us, they said in the setup that it was a biblical story that you might be familiar with. And we decided to take that out. We didn't want that in the setup because we felt that that was too much revealed before you picked up the book, right? Because the fun is being like, what is happening with this HOA? What is happening with these chapter titles? What's going on with these people's names? And then like putting the puzzle together yourself, right? So we were like, nope, that's not allowed. We're gonna have to figure out another way to put that text into different kinds of words. So do you guys think that, like Patty was clapping, you guys think that was a good idea? Because I know some people were like, I did not like that this was biblical and nobody told me so. Anybody have that feel? No, just shaking a lot of heads. Okay, I don't need to be the only one talking today.
I didn't.
Okay, keeping it non.
It didn't bother me. I liked the shock factor of like, oh, but see, as a literature teacher, I didn't really view this like from a religious aspect. I just thought it was a great plot twist in thinking of like the patriarchy and how it like didn't really have a great ending. You're just kind of like, oh, they're going to do it all over again. It's just going to keep being cyclical. And I don't know. I liked not knowing that it was, derived from the creation story, because I didn't like going in. That was not even, I thought this was like going to be a fractured fairy tale of sorts. So when it got to the ending, I was like, oh my God. And then I had to write all my thoughts down and like puzzle and piece it out and find the symbolism. And so that was fun for me, but I also understand not everybody does that.
Wants to do a whole like murder board with the red strings from the photo to the map to everything else, right? Did anybody else, as you were reading, have any kind of like when Meredith was first reading, she started messaging me and she was like, have you read about Lilith? This is crazy. And she was like going back to Genesis. And then we found out that Lilith is possibly the inspiration for the White Witch in the Narnia series, and like putting those connections together. That's when she was like, I can't wait to talk about this book until it, because it felt like such an Easter egg hunt to put those connections together. Did anybody else have moments like that or discoveries like that, especially ones you want to, share with the class here? Patty.
Okay, so I'm not, usually I just read and I'm not overthinking things. I just go with the flow. But I took my notes. But the thing that jumped at me right away was I was made for him. Everything that was her first sentence. I was made for him. And I didn't think of Eve right away, but something like that in my mind is like, is she not human? And she's just like a prototype, blah, blah, blah. But yeah, that's what jumped at me. And and none of the names, there were no red flags for me. It was just a weird, community. And, I even like some of the rules. I'm like, yeah, I like, rule number 13, no kids. And I think that's what it is. And so I was surprised when we're at the play or whatever, that one of the ladies in her littles. And I was like, wait, I thought there were no littles allowed. But yeah, so then that's when I started putting things together. But I do like that the very last woman is Eve. So you know what's going to happen after that. So it kind of makes it, to me, feel like, you're done, Adam. Like no more, eating your cake and wanting your cake and eating it too, or having your cake and eating it too. Because he was just kind of like going through women's like no big deal. Even though he says he's done, he's gonna keep giving me another woman and another woman. And he, it was kind of like, I'll have fun, I'll get bored, and they can go away or kill them. So I was like glad that Eve got him. So yeah, Eve.
By the end, you were like, Genesis, Eve, Apple, heck yes, more power to the women. It was like a rallying cry.
Well, yeah, because especially when Sophia was like, why doesn't God love me? Why does he love you and not me? That made me kind of sad. But yes, I had no idea. The twist was like, how, like, so creative. That's the books that I like, when they're like something out of like left field, like no idea that they were gonna come up with that.
But then when you do reread, and Amy, you said the same thing, that you don't usually like to reread like right away after, but you really want to touch on this one again. It's rereading and knowing that she was sowing those seeds the whole time. It was a twist out of left field when you're reading it, But once you come back the second time around, you're like, oh, she absolutely prepared us the entire way through with the contract, with the apple named chapters, with the names of the people being all animals. Yeah.
Yeah, and and Lilith, she's out in the world, like she's the only one that was able to escape. And the only thing I always think is the Lilith fair in the 90s. But that to me is a
feminist power, witches.
Yes.
There's a lot of mythology around witches.
I did the audio and the book at the same time. So, and I did it all last night, 2 hours and 15 minutes or whatever. So
yeah, it's easy. Alex was sad that when Sophia finally figured it out and wanted to take him down, it was too late. She couldn't actually pull off the long con. Wouldn't that be interesting if Sophia was the name that we were reading in the Bible, though? Because Sophia is the Greek word for wisdom, right? Which is why all those Greek words end in Sophie. And so I was like, oh, look, they talked about it too. Like usually he makes the girls light in the head. What did he say? This is Cascavel said, he doesn't give girls much to work with up top. But then Sophia is named Sophia, meaning wisdom. So she, without much to work with up top, manages to put these pieces together, which I thought was really interesting too.
And did they say that Cascavel actually gets some of them pregnant? They come back with babies?
He said that they come back from the garden and then they want babies or they have babies. So now they have that knowledge. And
because Sophia are able to what babies were. What are.
Yeah, she didn't even know what a baby was. Yeah. Okay, so then let's talk a little bit about the lions and the littles of the lions when there is a very explicitly named contract that says no, this contract is only for the couple named. Why can I not find that?
It's rule number 13, I believe.
Yeah, in the snow sleet apple, I may have written that wrong. Snow sheet, maybe. Suffering is contraband, which is a very interesting way to phrase something. And children are a breach of contract. And then the very next chapter, they go to the pantomime and Lion walks in with all her little cubs behind her. And so that's the first time that you're like, wait, who is this contract for? Who is eligible or who is like bound by this contract, right? Amy, any thoughts about that?
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking. I was thinking like, okay, that's when I was looking back at my notes on Fable, like that was when I said like, okay, then this contract is, I don't think it's the association, like a whole thing. I think it's just between like, she has to sign it and she's being controlled by her husband. So like, I thought that was, that's kind of where I started thinking it, but, yeah, I didn't catch on like other people though. I saw other people catch on like the whole like, oh, I think why are they called littles? And why are they called like, are they animals and that type of stuff? I never caught on to that until like way later down the line.
Yeah, they do get called littles, but that's funny because that's what I call my kids, is the littles. So it made sense to me at the time.
I was confused just because I'm not a Genesis expert. And I think like going back and
that'd be cool if we had one of those.
I know, right? But I had definitely thought like, I had not thought the idea that there was like passage of time or like continuous reproduction in Eden. I had thought those were things that happened after the apple, but then I had to go back and read, and it turns out, they're like, your job is to populate the earth. So like God was really asking Adam and all of his lady friends to like be populating the earth, which is what I guess the lions were doing. But Adam was the one being resistant, which is interesting that God just like God doesn't actually like show up really in the story. It's all just Adam deciding all these things.
Right. So and everything we hear about God the Father is relayed through Adam.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right. So then he let me have a new wife, and then he stopped being amenable to that. So I had to kill them so that he would make me a new one. Yeah. And it's like, who is like, we never hear from God. We don't know anything about what's actually going on with him. Right. Interesting.
Yeah. And maybe he's the snake.
Okay, Alex. Ooh, I like it. Interesting. Yeah, maybe God is Cascavel, and he's the one who shows up in the garden.
Yeah, he's like, take that,
Okay, there's
Adam.
also a lot of Hebrew
Mhm.
mixed in throughout the book. We have Semengla, which has the word semen in it, which is all I could read every time I looked at him. We have the paint colors, Givera and Bivra or something. Okay. Givura, which is the essence of judgment, and Bina, these are the roof colors, which is the essence of understanding. And then the paint colors in the very first one, all those paint colors are like newness and purity and light and innocence, rather than like white and white and white. They all have these weird little connotations of sinlessness, really, is what they're going for, right?
But
So
isn't
there's
that
a lot
that's a lot of
to do with color.
but that's a lot of what's baked into the church too, of like community, like baptism gowns, like confirmation dresses,
Mhm.
wedding dresses, like the propensity of white for women and that innocence related to it.
Yes. So true. I feel like I reached out to the author. I don't think she ever saw my message on Instagram to see if she would be willing to join us today to talk about this book, but she didn't respond or see my message. But I would be really interested to hear if she has like a major patriarchal takedown issue with the church, and this is part of how she worked that out. If she was like, I love the church, but I would love to look at it from a new viewpoint. Like, I would love to like pick her brain a little bit and see how her own worldview and beliefs played into the decision to write this book and the way that she wrote this book. Any thoughts on that? And that could even be like, well, me as a confirmed atheist, confirmed Christian, confirmed blah, 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 like anywhere along that spectrum, this is how I took it and with relation to God.
Well, has anybody read anything from her to see if her writing
written so much stuff
similar, to this book? And when I saw her picture, she looks kind of dark, gothic. So I don't know, I don't want to judge, but she looks very 90s. I used to powder my face too back then.
I think for me, like, and kind of going back, like, I was so very happy that I did not know that this was like based on religion going in, because I definitely like would have been like, no, peace out, I'm out, because I am like, I don't like religion. I have no tie to it. Like, I guess I can't say like as a confirmed atheist, I'm probably more agnostic. Something's out there in my opinion, but I don't like, I've read the Bible from start to finish, which most people don't know that about me. So like, but I don't like it. But for me, I'm able to take this like as like, hey, this is a great retelling of, for me, a work of fiction. Like that's like, so like, that's why like, I think I like really liked it a lot, because I don't have a tie to religion or faith or anything. So like, but I can see how some people, like, I don't know, like if I was super religious, like, I don't know how I would feel about like a retelling of something that I believed super strongly. And I don't know, like I don't know how people feel like that about mythology too. Like some people might have strong feelings about like mythology being like a lot of retellings and stuff. But I really liked it because I just like saw it as like a retelling of almost like a fairy tale. Because to me, it's a work of fiction. So.
Yeah, I totally agree with you, Amy. I feel like I'm kind of the same way in terms of religion. Like I grew up going to Sunday school and whatnot, but like it hasn't been a really big part of my life as an adult. And I'd probably call myself more of an agnostic. But I think had I known that it was a like retelling of a biblical story going in, I probably wouldn't have picked it up, just because it wouldn't have been something that would have interested me. And so I think that I liked it more just kind of appreciating like how much art and skill goes into, first of all, making a novella instead of like a full-blown novel, like putting in that much like just all of these different references to different things and this much art into a very short amount of pages. And then, like I said, whenever I finished it, I really didn't like it. I didn't like feeling like I was dumb the whole way through for like not getting it. And then like it became like so obvious that it was about, I'm like, this author is just like messing with me. Like, no, it just made me feel stupid for like in the first hour. And okay, now I get it. Okay. But then I went back and like really started to appreciate like how artfully she like really did place those little cues. And I feel like if I would go back and read it over and over and over again and pick up on different things every time I go through. And I think I appreciate it more for that way, like the skill of the writing and everything of the story that was, rather than like the story itself, if that makes sense.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I would
Ivy,
like
you were
to ask.
unmuted.
Amanda, I wouldn't feel
Oh.
bad about that. I kind of felt like by the time I cheated and figured it out by Googling Cascabel, I was, once you know, it felt like a downward, like running down a hill, like you were just getting there to the end so fast that I kind of liked that. I was weirded out by the story for at least the majority or half at least. But where I really got weirded out and was like, I have no idea what's going on, is with the housewarming gifts that she brought that were like a piece of meat and some mealworms. And what is going on? These are some weird names.
They like slurp them up. Like the Miss Fish is like, yum, I love worms. You're like, it's happening right here.
So that put me on edge. And then the whole thing, bird like breaking the window, really like creeped me out. I didn't know what was going on there. And then I can't remember if I Googled Semengelov or if I Googled Cascabel. I think they were very simultaneous. I think I Googled Cascabel and then went back and was like, okay, so if Cascabel is a snake, who is Semengelov? Because that sounded definitely Hebrew-ish to me.
Mm-hmm.
So it started to reveal itself as biblically based.
Nice. And I mean, not to pressure, but did you say at the beginning, because you were breaking up a little bit, if you have strong faith tradition, some direction or another?
Oh, I didn't say that, but yeah, I'm pretty religious in a progressive Lutheran church. So it was very interesting because we don't have that belief that there was a Lilith character, that sort of behind the scenes character in the story. We don't have that belief, but there is a lot of talk and discussion about what does that temptation mean. And I really like the open-endedness of the fact that temptation was actually a goal of Eve that none of the other women had succeeded in achieving, which is really a sort of, it's seen as the fall of humanity, but here it is some liberation of humanity, especially the women. Also, just side tangent, we need to talk about why Adam was a giant, because I didn't get that. If you
We're for sure going to talk about that.
take that one
Marissa, I feel like you were ready to say something and then I called out Ivy. So are you ready to say something?
Yeah. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, I just wanted to say that I'm sure we've all read domestic suspense books, and we were kind of in that mode when we were reading this at the beginning. And then, when you've read plenty of those, you kind of have, a knowledge of what to expect, and don't go in the basement, and husband's away, and all these things. And then to have it flip to like, a retelling of Adam and Eve was like so shocking and surprising. It like just thrilled me that she was so creative and brilliant with that. But my question was, what did everyone else think was happening until you got to that part? Because I was thinking like, are these robots? Like, are they animals? Is she a child? Like, because you could tell that she was overly in love with her husband in a unusual and unnatural way. So I was always just like, there's something going on here. Why is she like this? Did anyone else have any, theories about what was going on.
We've got android and serial killer options in the comments. I did see a comment from Emily, and she said it felt to her like the Truman Show, where like this entire world had been built, but not for Sophia's enjoyment, but for other people to enjoy Sophia's experience of the world, which I thought was a really interesting idea too, that like, that there would be a world built for humans to enjoy, but it's really for humans to be observed within that world. And like, whoa, that kind of like the whole entire world is a Truman Show and God is the watcher, but not the watcher from Netflix, a different watcher. Okay, Ivy thought she was like the golden harp in the Jack and the Beanstalk story where she was an unknown captive of a giant. I like that too.
I had a couple of stories. I go, is this another A Handmaid's Tale or Stepford Wives? And then I've been listening to the podcast and the book Limetown, this constructed community. And in fact, I kind of got some of the details. I was reading Limetown and this at the same time and kept getting mixed up. But yeah, some sort of constructed city. Yeah. Those are some of my images.
All right. Interesting. Okay, so let's talk about their size difference, because Adam does refer, he says that Lilith was also big, but then he makes a comment at one point, like, you should have seen me back then. You think I'm big and brawny now. You should have seen me then. So what do you guys think that means? Alex is like rolling her eyes into her head.
It kind of grossed me out. I don't know. I'm just like, if she's the size of a freaking child and he's much bigger than her, that part, it was just surreal to me. I don't know. I had that thought the whole time. Once she's scooting down the stairs and it said it took her half an hour, and I was like, what the hell is going on? Like, is she a kidnapped
like the mice
child?
in Cinderella.
Like, I didn't like that. Someone help me like make sense of it, because that part I wrote down, like, just put out to the side. WTF? What is the purpose of him being so large?
I always see like size be like, whenever I see the size difference, which is why I think I have an issue with romance, that it's like really big, huge men and like little women. Like, I think I always see when size differences are written in literature, I always look at it as a power dynamic.
Yeah.
Like, so it's being controlled. And then there was this whole like thought process of being controlled, to be honest, throughout the whole thing, especially with the whole, like, are you happy? Are you happy? Are you happy? And I hate that. Like, I hate that question of, are you happy? Are you happy? Are you happy? So like, I thought like that. So that's what I thought about, like the size thing is like that he's making them smaller because he wants to have control. It's just all about like the control. And maybe like, you should have seen me back then. Like, maybe all of this losing these women one after the other, like maybe he's making them a little bit bigger, and maybe he's also feeling like some of his power draining from him, so he's getting smaller in his head because he doesn't feel as powerful. Like, so I always think of like size difference as power dynamics.
It just made me feel icky. I mean, that's the only word I can use.
Well, weren't both of them at the
So
beginning?
this is on page 92, where he said, but in the beginning I was so big, in italics, a giant. Bet you think I'm a strapping fellow now, but you should have seen me when the ocean was new. I still think that was the best me, but he won't give it back. For me, what I kept thinking, especially when she laid out the hair on the floor and it was a gradient of colors from like blonde all the way to dark black. So there had to be 40 locks of hair or 40 hanks of hair on the ground. Ew. What I kept thinking was that if God was like taking a little bit of Adam every time to make these other humans, these women, that Adam was diminishing in size until he got to the point where, hypothetically, with Eve, he's almost the same size as her, because now he's gotten like his ribs taken out, so he shrunk even a little more. Does that make sense? I see some nodding, so maybe this makes sense. But I was like, what is happening with how big? And it never says in the book that Adam has gotten so much smaller that he's also crawling down the stairs like a child, right? So he's definitely bigger than Sophia, but is he also like, wow, I really wish I had a rope to get up from one stair to the next. That would make things a lot easier. You know, like where's his size in relation to her size? I want like dimensions. I Googled, was Adam a giant? Then I got some Muslim pages with a Muslim theory that Adam was 90 feet tall in paradise and shrank over time. Wow. What if we were all 90 feet tall? That would be amazing. Okay. Any other, Jennifer, you unmuted sometime in the last 5 to 10 minutes. I feel like you've got something to say. What do you got for us?
I was gonna say exactly what you said. I felt like each piece getting taken away, and I thought maybe the differences in the women that were being created had to do with what piece they were made out of. So if she was made out of his eye, I don't know if that has anything to do with it. But I had my own question, just going back to the thoughts of everyone talking about the patriarchy. If that were the case, why didn't she choose to write about Eve or Lilith? Which to me would have been more of a satisfying story. So I'm curious about anybody's thoughts of why she chose Sophia over the other two.
You mean like because it ends with Adam or God or Adam winning again? You mean like so it would have been more satisfying? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or yeah, I just because the other and also the other two stories I think more people are a lot more familiar with. I mean, especially Eve. So I'm just curious about why she chose Sophia over one of the other stories. I know Lilith plays more into Hebrew mythology than Christian mythology. So, or Christianity. So.
Well, I think like we already know Eve's story and we know what happened, you know, like she convinced Adam to leave the garden. So it's kind of like, why tell something that we already know? So it was kind of like, that's what I think, that we already know the story of Eve. And she didn't have to write it because, you know, in her mind, maybe this is a real story, and writing about Eve is just kind of like retelling the same story. So we already know.
After reading this story, you know, I want to go back and reread the Lilith story and reread the Eve story with this kind of understanding. So I think it adds a new dimension to those stories without telling those stories, which in the way she writes, she wants you to kind of form your own thoughts and ideas and feelings, I guess. So I think I like this kind of informs now my rereading of those stories.
Yeah, it's an interesting thing. Like, you know, I too, Amy, have read the Bible from front to back and did so long, and I got stuck in Leviticus and Lamentations for so freaking long. But it was interesting to me that this entire idea of another human or another wife for Adam was based on one verse in Genesis 1:27. And that, like, because it's said two ways or two times in different ways, maybe there are actually multiple creation stories. That to me, I was like, what? Like, how could I have been raised in the church my entire life and I've never heard this idea before, because I didn't know about Lilith until I read this story. And that, like, diving into the beliefs and the deconstruction around Genesis 1:27, that single verse was pretty boggling to me, mind-boggling. So.
Yeah, I would just chime in and agree that the ending is definitely hopeless, and, you know, an awful feeling that, you know, the bad guy is going to keep, you know, dehumanizing and being free to, you know, create people and slaughter them if he doesn't like them. And I felt like kind of her overall message was like, if if this is your creation story where the women are, you know, a piece of the man, like, then there is no hope for women. Like, if that's where you're starting from, then God doesn't have interest in women thriving and having rich lives and being, you know, fulfilled people with interior lives. So it's kind of a bleak depiction of God. But I felt that was the overall point, was just that if this is your point of origin, then nothing good will flow from it.
So do you feel like she's saying that because Eve came after and like fulfilled this idea of, you know, bringing temptation and like convincing Adam and whatever, that is more hopeful because now woman has her own agency, woman has, and like the story that we actually stem from is the one where Eve wins kind of and is not destroyed by Adam? Or does that not feel accurate?
Well, Adam doesn't grow or change or have consequences.
No, he gets smaller.
Yeah. So my view is that it's equally bleak for women, that it's up to that God should have taken an interest in women and their safety and well-being, you know, many lives before we got to Sophia. So yeah, I didn't think that the Eve story is an improvement over that Eve's situation is any better than the other women.
Right.
Well, I mean, she gets to live her life. You know, she's not going to be killed by Adam. So that's a good thing. You know, so I feel like she got smarter. You know, every new woman that came along got smarter, and, you know, until she was able to like pull the veil over Adam or whatever, like finally convince him. And now she's free. You know, but she's not going to die by the hand of Adam. That's the good thing. So, you know, just don't think about the role of woman after that. Just concentrate on the end and yay.
We're just supposed to put the blinders back on, Patty? Is that what you're saying? Just pretend you didn't see any of this behind the
just pretend you don't know what happens after they leave the garden.
Everything goes fine.
I think some of the, like, what I took away as like one of the minutes, I agree, like it is still kind of bleak, just like in general, because like I feel like I'll go there with. So I think that what I got out of it is that wisdom, like knowing stuff, there's a lot of power in that, right? But she knew stuff too late and wasn't able to, you know, get herself, like, still she wasn't able to save herself because she knew the wisdom too late. And so I felt like the messaging was like, look, like, if, you know, don't let people take wisdom away from you and like, you know, fight the patriarchy. So, you know, like, that's what I took a lot of that feminist feel from it, but more so of like, hey, like, it's so important for us to have our own agency, to not let, like, to not take what people tell us as the truth, to like do our own research. And if someone's like trying to hold us down, to fight against that and not, you know, fight against like anyone that's trying to control us or put us in a box. And so like, that's what I felt like some of the messaging was like, once she had some of this knowledge, like she was trying to save herself, but it was just a little too late. So, and maybe that is why Eve was able to survive, because she had more wisdom. It sounds like he gave them more wisdom each time, and maybe she had enough wisdom. She talked to, because I felt like Caravel or whatever, I felt like he was the serpent, the Satan, and, you know, Eve talked to, in the Bible, you've talked to Satan maybe earlier. So I feel like just if you get wisdom earlier, you can save yourself faster. So.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Catherynne and Caitlin, just want to check in with both of you because you've been quiet, and sometimes that's because there's a lot of people saying a lot of things. So I just want to make a little space. and see if either of you want to take a second to fill it.
I'm quiet because my dogs keep barking at people outside. But I love the book. I really loved kind of the twist and then going back and piecing it all back together. I didn't see what was happening. But I loved all the little pieces with the names and all of the kind of doing the Google afterwards, and seeing how it was all put together. I don't read a lot of stories like this with all the metaphor and all the like thinking more about it at the end. So I enjoyed that.
Yeah, and I'm just like taking it all in. So this wasn't what I thought it was going to be. I guess I expected a little more horror. I mean, there are pieces, but to me, I'm like, okay, but what does it all mean together? So I'm sort of listening to all this, and I didn't really do a lot of Googling. I wanted to kind of come in. I've read it once, come to this discussion, and I'm going to reread it because I definitely feel like I need to reread it now. So it's interesting. I just feel like there's like, I think Ivy said it, like, as soon as I started to get my bearings, like it was over. I was like, wait a minute, but that's it? Like, okay. So anyways, yeah, I just don't quite follow exactly what she was trying to say with all of this and exactly what the point was with the whole story. So I sort of landed in the middle, like, okay, it was good, interesting, but yeah.
Okay, when did that moment happen for y'all? Knowing that this is a 103-page book, are we talking, I got my bearings at page 70, at page 20, at page 40? Like, because it feels like no matter what it was, by the time you really get your bearings, it's over anyway, right? Because there's either 100 pages to go or there's 30 pages to go.
I feel like it was very close to the end.
Okay.
Like very close to the end. Because I was like, okay, let me see how much longer. And I like forced myself to stay awake and read it. So partially I was like half asleep when I was reading the end. So I don't know what page it was, but I just know it was like very much towards the end, over 3/4 the way through for me.
Yeah. So Black Twig, that chapter starts on page 71 and ends on page 85. And then the next one is like the Bible verse, if you eat of the tree, you will die. So when I was rereading it today, I was like, oh, I bet this is where most people are like, oh, I get what's happening now. Mr. Old Mr. Dust.
I Googled Smeagol as soon as he showed up and
Smeagol?
Yes, exactly. Right. And so then I was like, oh, sorry, my alarm. And so like as soon as that happened, I was like, wait, he's not a bear. This is not a Goldilocks or a fairy tale retelling. What is happening? So
what's the definition of that man?
Yeah. What is the definition of
Google? Yeah.
I feel like I put it in, I thought I put it in Fable when I found it.
I need to check that.
Yeah.
Let me go.
I put
that
it
is
in
the
the
name of a Jewish archangel who was tasked with guarding places. So
on the infographic,
probably,
Katie, there's a little place on the infographic in like where you click on about the characters, and I linked and I tried to put legitimate sources on there. That's a pet peeve of mine. Like it's not Wikipedia, but there's 3 angels and he was one of them, and they were like to their guardians for what I mean, it was like 20 pages worth of stuff to read through, but it was pretty cool. It's him and 2 others with very similar sounding names.
Yeah,
they all 3 start
S.
with an S. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Still don't know how to say his name though.
They're supposed to be angels, and didn't he kiss her? Didn't he kiss Sophia?
Cascavel does.
Oh, okay. Yes. Okay, never mind.
Not even just kiss. First, there's like a paternal kiss on the head, and then there's like a mini makeout session between her and the snake. Which is weird. Okay, pantomime. So we've got this amphitheater, everybody's in attendance. There's this weird play, and Sophia realizes that it is reenacting the day that she showed up to Arcadia Gardens. And the horse lady, Miss Palfrey, comes over and she's like, do you see? Do you see? I need somebody to unpack that for me, please and thank you.
So palfreys were like the horses that people would ride, like going on their oh my God, what are they called? Like when you'd go on like a trip to like go see a site. Oh
like a pilgrimage?
Yes, yes. I was like, what are the words that I'm trying to say? Yes, for pilgrim, like there's like a picture of like people in like the 12th and 13th century, like riding their palfreys to get, so it's like a riding horse that takes you to a place where you get new knowledge. So I thought that was really appropriate as a definition, as a character name at this point, because the idea of palfrey is trying to like shepherd her or take her to this new place of knowledge.
Interesting.
I felt like the
okay
was clear that it was not her first day, that it was the first day of the person who left the brush because of the horse-like hair. But now that you say that a palfrey is a horse, that makes a lot more sense that she would have horse hair. But that seemed to me like it was like, girl, you're in danger. But we didn't at that point quite know exactly what the danger was.
Well, and I feel like maybe the animals didn't like Adam anymore because Adam was like almost mad while he was watching the play. And it's kind, like, so he kind of saw his own end because he didn't have any friends besides that angel or whatever. But everybody was like pretty much against him. I mean, why would they help Sophia when he is, the king, or, the king of the place? So he was not having a good time anymore in his own place.
I feel like he was throwing the temper tantrum by the end. He was like my children being like, I didn't want this for dinner. I don't want to go to the grocery store. I don't want to do the things. How come y'all always have to figure my shit out? And why can't you just leave me in peace? Like there was very temper tantrum vibes to me, starting from the pantomime on, where he's like staring ahead with like a dead eye stare at all these people, animals. Who even knows what is happening? I would like to see a movie reenactment of this. I need some visual aids for this book. That's what I need. Somebody make it dumb for me. That's what I want. Somebody dumb it down.
Well, you could tell that Adam knew that the story was about Lilith, who had escaped. And I know, Katie, you said that you thought the Lilith was the first clay woman who was attached to his spine, but I think that Lilith was actually the wife before Sophia.
Yeah, before Sophia. Yeah.
So she is out there beyond the gates, still out there, and Semengalov and he have not found her yet. And so he knew about the slip up at Mrs. Lyon's house, where Semengalov, it was told to her that he was looking for someone outside the gate and worked with her husband. So it was very much like cracks in the narrative that he was trying to portray.
Mm-hmm. Okay, another thing though about that first wife and the horse hair and the palfrey and the leading, when she finds that first hank of hair, she talks about how the hair is so thick, like it's not regular hair. Is that because that first person was so huge, like proportionally it was the right thickness of hair, but she was 40 times bigger than Sophia, so her hair was 40 times thicker? Do you think that's what's going on there? You guys are like, sure, Katie, you just spin your theories, you just enjoy your life.
No, maybe Adam's not the only one evolving, but each iteration of the woman is evolving too.
Oh, we're putting evolution in Genesis. I like it. We're tearing the whole thing down. Amy, I didn't think that hard. It's like, for other people's comments. I like Caitlin basically said the same thing. I forgot about that. Now I'm realizing how much was actually in this book.
What I think it's interesting too is that, Sophia was designed so that she could not be dissatisfied, which is why they were always asking, are you happy? Are you happy? Are you happy? But she wasn't happy anymore. She wasn't satisfied. And so what it showed is that basically the free will that humans have, that you can plan whatever you want, but eventually over time your experiences are going to change how you think and how you behave. And so that kind of goes right back into the evolving. But I think, when the snake guy says, sorry about my dogs, are you dissatisfied? And she's like, yes, I am.
Yeah, I agree. I thought for her to finally be able to answer, yes, I am dissatisfied. That's such a turning point. Wow, you're so crunchy. You're so loud. My husband's home, guys. He's very noisy. But for her to be able to finally answer that question for real and to stop wondering, like, why does everybody keep asking me that? Why does everybody keep asking if I'm happy? To finally be able to take that like internal temperature check and be like, no, actually, I'm not. Like, wait a minute. Yeah, that's her own sense of freedom to say, no, I'm not happy. Exactly. And I think even for women now, like we talk about the Enneagram too much, I realize, I'm sorry, but we've talked about how a lot of women mistype as Enneagram 2s because we are like societally programmed to serve, to be helpers, to like love others well, to say, yeah, okay, it's all the time, right? And so I still think that little section of are you happy? Are you happy? Are you happy? And her finally being able to say no is a feminist issue. And it is still applicable today, right now, because we still see that in 21st century women saying, oh yeah, for sure I'm a 2 because I just want everybody around me to be happy. I just want to make sure we're all happy, right? Like that's a whole thing. I cannot read your comments while I talk. It distracts me. Good job, Amy. Thanks for distracting me. Caitlin, what were you going to say?
Yeah, I feel like that is part of also like what you're talking about is what a piece that I feel like I'm missing from understanding. Like, how come she was the only one that didn't know what was really going on? Like, it's like everyone else knew except her. Like, I don't really understand what that is saying or how that ties back to the original story. And I grew up in the church, but I didn't know anything about this Lilith, Sophia, or anything. So I have a lot of research to do. And I appreciate whoever made the Canva thing. So yeah.
Good job, Alex. Where is Alex? She's still here.
But she was the newest
yes.
person in town. So that's why she doesn't know what's going on.
But who are these other women? Like the neighbor ladies?
They're the animals.
They're animals.
They're animals. Okay, so we did decide they are animals. Okay, I missed that part.
Yeah, I'm just unclear if they actually look like animals or if they just have animal names. That's what I'm not clear about.
And eat like animals would. That was the weird food stuff. Like she brought them worms or whatever. Okay.
Cheese, worms, and a heart with an aorta sticking out of it.
Yes.
I felt like they were animals. I was just like, maybe I'm like, okay, you tell me what to believe and I'll believe it. But I felt like they were animals. They look like animals. And she's able to speak with them. I don't know. Once again, I could just suspend disbelief. So she's able to just speak with them. I feel like they know stuff because once again, it's kind of like that whole with like they've been around for a while. Like she's new, right? Like she's newer. They've seen like one or at least one, but probably several wives be there and be killed. And so I think that's kind of where the warning came into. But I don't know. I guess now maybe I shouldn't have believed they're fully animals, but that's what I'm picturing in my head. Like they're these animals that she's talking with these lion cubs and presenting them with food. And I'm fine with her talking to animals, Dr. Dolittle style.
I think that makes a lot more sense. I definitely pictured her talking to women, like 3 neighbor women. that had weird characteristics.
And I think they have to be animals, because otherwise why would it matter? Why would she matter if there were other women to choose from? Like Mrs. Lion seems nice. Like Adam could go reproduce with her.
Y'all are so smart. This has helped me a lot. I'm ready to go reread this now.
Well, and then they like badmouth the other animals too. In that first scene when they're all at Miss Lion's house, old Miss Elk and Miss Hound down at the farmer's market with those waistlines, ew. You know, like it's like the way they talk, like, so then it's like, well, do they have waistlines? Like, or is it a dog waistline and an elk waistline? I don't understand. And she has a freaking wickered coffee table. Like, I've never met any spoiled dogs that have their own wickered coffee table, much less a lion. I don't know.
Well, maybe that's also what happened when they left Eden, is that they realized they don't need wicker tables.
Feral?
Like maybe that was their, no, I'm just going off I'm just being ridiculous.
Let me tell you, it's a fictional telling.
They're all living in these beautiful white houses with these brown and gray roofs with their wicker coffee tables inside, and they're drinking out of teacups, but still eating worms and hearts and cheese.
Yeah.
And then Eden, like the fall happens and everybody has to go live in like a dung house if you're a beetle, and an anthill if you're an anthill, and it's sad for your life.
Right, which is why they all wanted Sophia to be happy. I'm just making stuff up, guys. But
okay,
I like
it. I like it.
I think it was to confuse us at the beginning. So it was kind of confusing, you thinking that they were people, but then they end up being animals. And she can write her book however she wants because it's a fictional story.
It's true, but I would like her to come here and talk to us and tell us if they're actual animals or not. That's what I want to know.
Well, maybe she'll get in touch with you later and you can do one of your mini episodes. So, you know, and
yeah, I'll be like, this is one with spoilers. So we're going to only put it on Patreon.
Yes.
We're spoiler free.
So I think
that
the
would be fun.
Eden thing and the animals is pretty on track. I mean, I think that if you look at Paradise and Eden, everybody is living together in harmony and in togetherness. And so everybody is almost, you know, whether it's a lion or an elk or whatever, the Garden of Eden provided everything for everybody. So there didn't have to be, you know, predators and prey, and everything was provided for them. But once that apple was eaten, and now we have the knowledge of everything, we have the knowledge that we're not all equal, and everything isn't equal, and so we get kicked out of paradise, and now we all have to figure out how to survive, and that then creates that hierarchical division of humans versus animals, and the differences of the animals.
Okay, I like it. I also like Marissa's point that everybody would have to be naked in this movie. So that's its own.
Since they would all have to be naked. Except that she had a blush. She brushed her hair and she wore
a bag?
makeup.
No, I'm muting you, Alex.
Wait, no, I'm
okay. Shh. X-rated comfort apples. Well, Alex, even though she made us this beautiful resource, she kept calling it "Cover Me with Apples," and then you could turn that into part of the title. She could just be wearing apples as her different varieties for different body parts, I guess.
Yeah, that would be great, Katie. Because you know I managed to screw up every single name of every book I've ever read. This one just happened to be the best one.
Well, she made a whole chat called "Cover Me with Apples," so she did it to herself. Now, every time she wanted to talk about it, it was written there exactly wrong all the times.
And I actually typed it in wrong. And I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna leave it because why not?
Yeah, that would have been a whole different plot point, though, for Sophia to be covered in apples somehow. Would have been exciting.
And caramel drizzle all over.
Oh. Okay, well now it's turning into a porno, and I don't think that we're gonna watch that.
No.
Not as like a group video anyway.
It's already icky enough as it is. We don't need that.
It's pretty icky sometimes. All right, what else do we need to touch on? I feel like we've talked already for almost an hour and 10 minutes about 110 pages. That doesn't mean there's not more to get into here. Is there anything that we haven't touched on, Patty?
Did we talk about the significance of Sophia being made out of the left eye? I don't, I'm not that smart to analyze it, but I know some of you guys are.
Charlotte, you got anything about the left eye? No? There is a Bible verse about how if your one eye causes you to sin, pluck it out. And that could be an interesting tie together with because his eye was gone, right? It was an illusion. He peeled back that illusion and then put it back again. So that eye was completely gone. And that might be an interesting tie-in between, and that's New Testament theology to go forward to, if your eye is causing you to sin, pluck it out, but then she's made from that eye and he's already been murdering, which hypothetically we would assume is a sin, right? So there's a whole bunch to unwind around just that one body part being, and then it also talks about how she was now, because she was made from the eye, she could see forward more than the other women, right? That's in the last chapter, I think, or when Cascavel is talking to her, that she is more forward seeing than the other wives were.
I think Adam says that.
You saw too clearly and too far ahead. Yeah, that's on page 97. You saw too clearly and too far ahead. We'll know better next time. No more eyeballs. He owes me this time. Temper tantrum yet again.
I'd love to.
And the left side is considered sinister. Yep.
Yep. I'd love to talk a little bit about the reading experience on Fable, because I feel like if I had, I really enjoyed having the app to kind of go along with it because when I first opened it up, I was like, oh my God, there's so much conversation. I'm gonna have to periodically pause and check in and see what people wrote down. And so there were definitely times where I would stop reading, go and check and see. And then at those points, I forced myself to oh, what is my current theory right now? What am I writing down? And I think that if we had done it, it's too short of a book to have done a chapter a day. But if we had done it, if it was just I'd read it in one block, I think I wouldn't have recognized all the layers in it. So I feel like Fable was, it was kind of perfect for Fable,
I think so too. I think it was a great opening salvo for Fable to try it out with this book. So short, so many people able to get into it, people willing to update as they went rather than well, we finished 5 chapters. What do you guys think now? That would have been half the book, what does that look like? Another tiny book that packs a huge punch. Assembly by Natasha Brown. That sounds fun. We could do that too. I need to pick another book. Something for December. But yeah, I did really even though I had already read it when I made the Fable group, I had turned on I want all the comments so that I could see if anybody was having trouble or whatever, so I could pop in and check in with people. But I didn't do my reread until today. So my reread, I got to go in and every chapter see 27 comments, 38 comments about this one chapter, and see when people got mad about what this plot twist looked like, and people saying, oh damn it, I didn't want it to be biblical, and then people changing their rating later, like Amanda saying, I started at 2 stars and now I'm at 4 because I can't stop thinking about it, or I've peeled back the layers more and I understand it more. I do think there is a lot of interesting pieces to the way that Fable was able to connect us all in the reading experience, even when we weren't exactly synced up time-wise. Yes, Charlotte, I'll put the link to that discussion in the show notes for this when I release it. Also, I don't think I can get to it right now because I have to copy it from my phone, but yeah, and that way anybody that joins later that watches this video can also go back to Fable and look at those different discussion points for each chapter. So the ability to stagger and avoid spoilers was really exciting for me. I thought that was fun.
Yeah, I love that. And I love that, like, you can kind of go at your own pace, because I feel like I'm a terrible buddy reader because, like, I can't stick to a schedule, like my work schedule and life. It's just like, I have so much trouble, like, saying to, okay, I'm going to finish this chapter by this day. And so I love just like being able to go in at my leisure. Like, I could blow through half of it in one day and then take, 3 weeks to get through the other half of it and still like not have any spoilers, but still like feel like I'm participating in the conversation. So like, I love the Fable app. It's fantastic.
Such a great wish granted. Amy knows I'm notorious for ruining buddy reads. I'll be like, yes, let's buddy read that. And then I'm like, oops, I finished. Anybody else? Like, I'm so bad about it. So for me, that was perfect also.
And I read a lot of, and I also am horrible at buddy reads. So I don't think I'm horrible at them. I'm a chaotic mood reader. So like, I will like be reading 7 books at once, and then I'll just get stuck on one book. I'll start it 3 weeks before someone and then never finish it. So this app is perfect for it. But what I love about it too, is because I don't get really detailed a lot in my reading, this forced me to like slow down and add notes. And then also I forget stuff a lot, and being able to go back, like I can just go back and be like, oh yeah, I said this on this chapter, and oh, these were my thoughts. Like I would not have remembered. I read this book, one sitting a couple of weeks ago. Like I would not have remembered what I thought about it. So I like that too, that you can always go back and see what you wrote. Like it doesn't disappear.
Your own
So
thoughts. Yeah, exactly. And this one was such short chapters. It's a lot easier to have distinct thoughts rather than like, well, in this 50 pages, I went through this entire roller coaster, but I ended at blah, 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 Stephanie said she doesn't have time to read during the week, so she catches up on Fridays, which is her day off, and her designated avoid real life day. We should have one of those, right? No life today. I'm checking out, friends. Very cool. I will also say, like, if you don't start your own book club, it's probably not as obvious, but on Fable, it auto-populates. You choose the book, and as long as it's part of their database, it auto-populates all the chapter titles along with that kickoff post and the club lobby and then the review section at the end. So I didn't have to like input all of that information. It put it all in for me. And then after we started using Fable for this book, they also introduced a schedule and milestones. So you can say like, by this date, read this chapter. And then that's what pops up on the day when you log into the app, which is very cool also, because then you're like always synced up if that schedule is the way that things work well for you, which for some of us, that's what we need. So, yeah, this is not an ad for Fable. This is not a paid placement, but definitely worked out great for this. And I'm really excited that we discovered it and get to go with it from here. All right. Anything else? Does anybody think they will be reading one of the other 873 books that are cited here as also by Catherynne Valente? I bet a lot of these are novellas also. There's like the Orphan's Tales and Fairyland, and I bet a lot of them are shorter novellas, but I don't know. Short fiction collections, The Bread We Eat in Dreams. Rebecca, Stacy would love that book. She loves books about dream.
She does not.
The Noah
that is a straight falsehood, Katie. Straight falsehood.
Yeah, it is. It is. What were you saying, Stephanie?
So maybe one of those 40 books is a Noah retelling, and I just don't know it.
Hey, maybe. There's nothing that lists the arc though. So,
I just Googled her, and according to her Amazon biography, nope, maybe this is a different person. Just kidding. I'm gonna take it back. I was like, this does not sound like this book at all. Okay, it's probably a different person with the same name. Hold on.
she has a book that was crowdfunded, The Girl Who Circumnavigated Fairyland in a Ship of Her Own Making, and the 4 books that followed it. She's also won a ton of awards, including the Lambda and Hugo Awards. And she was a finalist for the Nebula and World Fantasy Awards. Here's a question. She lives on an island off the coast of Maine with a small but growing menagerie of beasts, some of which are human. Maybe Sophia is not what we think of as human.
Oh.
Maybe they're all beasts in this neighborhood. Because Catherynne Valente lives with a variety of beasts and some are human. So that's also possible.
Sure.
I'm just gonna throw wrenches in all the theories that we've had throughout this hour and 20 minutes. All right, Caitlin, if you try one, you let us all know. Maybe just like type her into Goodreads and pick whatever's highest rated of all.
Oh, that's a good idea. Yeah. I'll report back.
Okay, yeah, we're gonna want to hear about what happened with that trial and error situation. Okay, I feel like we've beaten this book to death. We've beaten a dead palfrey at this point, and there's only so many more puns I can make about this book and ridiculous comments. So I feel like it's about time to wrap it up. If there are any other, I'm going to mute you, Marissa, because we can hear whoever's talking to you.
I just Googling interview with the author about this book.
Okay. And did you find something?
I did. I found an interview. I haven't read it because I had time, but I'll cut and paste it in the chat.
Okay, perfect. And then I can pull it and make sure that we have it for the show notes if anybody wants an interview with the author to take a peek at. So now I'll do my regular spiel, which is that you all, the 15 of you, make the podcast happen. You're the reason that we're able to stay on the air and be ad free and interact with you all the time and like just love our lives calling this a job. It's so amazing that we have so many bookish friends and that you would show up and spend part of your Sunday with me talking about a book, whether you loved it or hated it or somewhere in between, is very meaningful to me. And so I want to thank you. And I want to tell you all happy reading. And I can't wait to talk to you again about something else. All right. Bye, friends.
Bye.
Thanks, Katie.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.